welcome to part 6 of fixing up this Leyland. This 1974 Leyland P76. A few things happened, major things happened. So something I want to get into, right, is the grill's out, the suspension's off. What's it? The lower control arms, the radius rod arm bushes, the ball joints, the tie rod ends. It's out. So, which is really, really cool because I've started ordering parts and brake components for the front of this. We've made some progress on the interior, which I think is going to have to be its own separate episode. And also, I got the engine running. That's the big news, is that the engine is running and the body work is finally complete. There's no more rust. This is a rust-free P76 Leyland, which is really, really cool to start with. So, lots of things in all areas. Body's done. That means the floor pan's done. The engine runs really bloody well, and sounds like a proper V8. This is the first time I've ever had it run. And saying that, got the suspension off, and I'm working through that now. So let me show you through it. I want to run through the suspension on the Leyland and what I'm doing about it. This is McPherson front suspension, so that means that there's one control arm, one radius rod arm bush, a tie rod end on either side because it's rack and pinion steering, and that's it. Like there is like nothing else to this. There's no upper control arms, there's no lower control arms, there's no twin ball joints, there's nothing I've got to really press in and out. However, that is a lie, but we'll get to that. Now, parts for these are really hard to get. The only company that produces bushes for these cars is SuperPro. SuperPro does a pretty good job at stocking everything. You might think, oh, they don't have a lot of stock, but really, there's only limited points of contact with the suspension. You've got the pivoting arm, the lower control arm bush here, that just pivots. Then you've got the sway bar link that goes here. You've got the radius rod arm bush that goes here, and you got a ball joint, and that's it. That's the whole refurbishment of this. In the user manual for a P76 Leyland, it describes that when this bush or this ball joint fails, you buy a complete assembly. So this comes with everything pushed in, but we're 50 years away from that anymore, so that's not a possibility. So you're going to have to look at pushing in and out your own stuff. Now, I've been told that it is possible to refurbish these parts. However, I'm going to the club president of the P76 Queensland club, and he's sending me a complete unit of one of these. So you'll have the bush pushed in, you'll have this bush pushed in, that's a sway bar link, so that doesn't need to be, nothing gets pressed into there, and a ball joint be pushed in. Now, here's the secrets, right? If you're going to do this by yourself, you know, there's one thing that I'm telling you, oh, just go to the club, you know, the club will sort you out. It's one thing to tell you that, and it does support the community. However, I like to know what the components that build these things up are. So, for radius rod arm bushes, so that go onto the chassis end, I found out that Ford Falcon bushes are the exact same as the Leyland stock units. They insert into each other, they use a sleeve, $50. You can get it from SuperPro for $107. Do that if you want, maybe they'll fit better, but this fits, well, they haven't come yet. Tie rod ends. These tie rod ends cost me $18. No magic tricks, $18. Because this is the same part as an LH to LX Tirana. So if you need tie rod ends, LH to LX Tirana tie rod ends. And it cost me $18. They thread on perfectly. They're the same taper on the ball. They're the same size. They're the same length. $18. Back to the control arms. You can't actually get ball joints for these cars at all. The ones that you find through the clubs are remanufactured or new old stock, but they're getting thin on the ground these days. I have been told that these ball joints are Triumph TR7 ball joints. This, to me, has the same length, width, taper, and internal diameter, all without knowing, without actually pushing it out and pushing this in. I believe that this is a Ford Falcon XY control arm bush. Steel sleeve. It might work, I can't confirm that. Zinc bolts. So these were really easy to get out. Once these were unbolted, I actually took both of them out with my hands. Zinc plated bolts, smear of grease. This will never rust in your suspension parts. Now I went to the brake store and I picked up these. These are brake lines. They're about $50 a piece, which is pretty much on par with any brake hoses. They used to be 40 bucks a piece, but we don't live in 2017, 2018 anymore. These are 50 bucks a piece. Inflation hit them. They come with the copper washers, a banjo bolt on one side, hex nut on the other. And then I got seal kits, disc caliper kits to reseal these once I put the pistons back in and put it all back together. $15 a piece, all up, 180 bucks. Hopefully my master cylinder is still good. I'll be able to reuse that. And we can put some brakes and suspension together. I reckon for under $500, because I'm not going to do springs, but I will do wheel bearings later. I don't want to get greasy. The real feature presentation, you know, anybody can strip a suspension, but how about this? Whee! The engine's back together. How groovy is that, seeing that all back together? It doesn't look clean because, well, I didn't clean parts as I went. I degreased them with the pressure washer, but that's about it. So the rocker cover and the air cleaner still looks a bit daggy. The engine bay paint that I promised, yeah, it's fine. I'll probably just run some grease or rust converter, something, I don't know, some coating on all this just so it doesn't rust out. Right, so what did we do? We had it back to the block, we had the distributor out, and I cleaned it. And that's it. That's all I did. I got the valve unstuck. All it needed was WD-40, a little bit of heat, a hammer, popped straight out. Rubbed it with some, not too aggressively, with some sandpaper. You know, you can take too much material off. By the time I was finished, I could hold the valve into the head, hold it with one end with my finger, and it would hold by vacuum. I then blasted out the coolant chambers with the pressure gun, just to make sure that they're cleaned out too. Replaced the cracked exhaust manifold with a new one locally. Thanks, that was 50 bucks, which was really, really good. So new push rod went in, new old stock, or came out of, it's a used push rod. So a used push rod from Interstate, sent graciously for free to me, which was really, really cool. So the bent push rod was replaced with a new one, thank you very much. Here, I'll play a clip of it running so it doesn't sound like I'm goofing off. Cool!
Nice.
And now, listen to the way the compression sounds before and after, so you can really hear what a 7-cylinder, what being dead on one cylinder actually sounds like, which it was doing the entire time when I look back at old footage. Whoops, I should have noticed that, but I didn't. That was pointed out to me by my Discord buddy, which was really, really cool. Listen to an uneven compression, and then listen to an even compression. Now, you'd say that's quite the difference, isn't it? Like, it sounds really, really beefy, and it sounds really, really muscular. I mean, listen to the back of it. Sounds groovy. Now, I took a commenter's advice on resealing this, and I used aviation. He said to use Hollmer, but I use aviation gasket sealer through here. It stays tacky. It's really, really cool. I'm a bit worried because it's metal on metal sealing with the aviation gasket maker, but we'll have to see how it goes. Scraped all the paper off, smeared it with aviation gasket stuff on both sides, bolted it, clamped it down, then bolted on the inlet manifold. Very stressful. I didn't film any of it, so I do apologize about that. And then I cranked, didn't fire. Suddenly, I found out the firing order is actually printed on here. In the first episode I said it's got a 3.5 manifold. No, the manifold, the cylinder numbers are casted onto the manifold. So this is 1357. It's got the firing order on the manifold. And then you just start at number 1 cylinder about here on compression stroke of cylinder 1 here. And then the rotor button spins clockwise. No throttle, let's go. With the fuel pump is even connected too. I put petrol in the petrol tank of this, and it actually pumps up to the fuel bowl. But yeah, no, it's all back together. I just got to do the cooling system now, make sure that's going to work fine, and yeah, it's going to be fucking sweet, man. And really, I have to leave the interior episode for next time. I want a dedicated episode to that. I really want to run through you guys what we're doing with the seats. However, you can get a sneak peek here at the carpet. So this is a ginger carpet that I bought for about 250 bucks. Molded for the P76 Leyland. You might be able to see the moldings for the seat rails, where they go. And all you have to do is just cut holes into it where you need it and how you're fitting it. And they clip under the sill panels here, this carpet. Now you know like what the brown is really going to look like in this car. Also, the instrument cluster's back in. 3 of the gauges work. I don't know if the speedo works because I haven't driven the car yet. The cloth doesn't work, but it's just there for looks. It was just a blank panel in there. Someone deleted it and never put it back in, which is a bit odd. And I can't remember if I showed you this or not, but radio.
So, understand what the Civil War discourse on here has been about.
So that's really cool. So yeah, so the radio's there, cassette deck here. I've got my own switch wired up here, and that's gonna have to do it for this episode of fixing up this Leyland P76. Yeah, as you can see, we still need to do some more brake work. I'm waiting on suspension parts to come. Again, with interior, I'll have to show you that another time because there's just too much to talk about with the carpet, the upholstery, the sewing work we'll be doing. It's going to have an interior by like the next or the subsequent episode, but what we're aiming to do is to get a running, we're trying to get a test drive for this car, so look forward to that. The reason why we're doing brakes and suspension is, yeah, get this out for a test drive, see how it performs. You know, I'm really worried about that transmission because of my last project car, the Jaguar, which I'm still looking for a gearbox on. However, yeah, anyway, that will all be for next time. Thank you very much for watching.
He's